Peter Piper used the smart buying tools from Amazon Business and positively prospered.
So, this is it. This is where you can find me.
Welcome back. To New Rock Stars, I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Obsession, the new horror film by director Curry Barker. Yes, one of two YouTubers currently revolutionizing Hollywood. Barker made this wonderfully haunting film about...
No, I absolutely love this movie. Bottom of my heart right now. It's so good.
New Rock Stars, this is a breakdown of Obsession, the new horror film by director Curry Barker. Yes, one of two...
Alright, I'm gonna put the mic closer up to me. I don't know why it's so far behind, but with Kane Pixels, I've always been a Backrooms guy. I've loved the Backrooms, especially in 2021 to 2022 when it absolutely blew up. I just think incredible. I love it. Indy Navarrete is... Yo! My god. Sub Bentley. No. I'm starting to stream again, Bentley. How does that make you feel? I hate how delayed this is, though. This is horribly delayed. I'm gonna check in OBS real quickly. So streaming. Huh. Made that up a little bit. 51,000. Is that right? Wow. What is up, Bentley, though? That's awesome. What's up with you, though? Should be a little bit smoother now, I'd say.
Toxic love that's layered and deeper meaning and incredible attention to detail in the visuals. So in this video, I'm gonna go through this film scene by scene for all the little details that you might have missed. Now, if you are new to this New Rockstars channel, we might be better known for covering big nerdy franchises like Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, but we also try to analyze films like this that you might be even more passionate about. So I highly recommend...
Oh my god, she's so hot. She's genuinely...
DC and Star Wars, but we also try to analyze films like this that you might be even more passionate about. So I highly recommend you check out our breakdowns of Backrooms, Project Hail Mary, One Battle After Another, Weapons, and Sinners. Obsession begins with this monologue by Bear, short for Baron Bailey, played by Micah, with his friend and co-worker Nikki testing it on this very polite waitress. There has been much discourse about how Obsession is a story about toxic male loneliness, or even perhaps part of an incel horror trend, akin to The Menu and Don't Worry Darling. But director Curry Barker said that he started with an idea of what happens when two people are obsessed with each other and find destructive and self-destructive lengths they would go to in order to feed that hunger. Bear's affection for Nikki, though, is one-sided, an obsession seen from afar, and not an organic affection born out of mutual chemistry. So you'll notice this film opens with sappy romantic dialogue, romantic music, warm vibes and lighting, and even this pleasant setting to make us think we're watching some kind of mumblecore romance, starting us off with a false sense of sap and security, when in reality, the behavior we are witnessing is actually pretty troublesome. Like, what he literally says is, I feel like I'm coming apart. I think about you all the time, Nikki. I tried not to. You're in every song
Well, if you're, if it's Indy Navarrete, the actress who plays Nikki Freeman, I would completely understand that if I ever thought of a song she would be in it. Yeah, this guy makes complete sense in my opinion. Until, okay, my entire opinion of him changed the millisecond he heard Nikki crying for help and like mumbling under her breath when the entity was sleeping, and he was like,
and destructive and self-destructive lengths they would go to in order to feed that hunger. Bears
makes complete sense in my opinion. Until my entire
anyway, he's not a bad looking guy, and I feel like if he just had more confidence and things like that, then him and Nikki would probably work out, since I think Nikki liked him at the start, genuinely. There are hints at it, because she was saying stuff like, "You're the only person I can talk to."
he's not a bad looking guy, and I feel like if he just had more confidence and things like
And
that.
I feel like they could have made it work if he had 1 more ounce of confidence. He had his shoulders held more high. But
listen to. I mean, yikes! Corey Barker told Collider's Perry Nemiroff that this whole diner scene was actually a reshot opening. The film's original opening shot was going to mirror the closing shot.
The opening shot of this movie was on Bear, and then we tilt the camera down and we see the dead cat, and then we keep tilting and we see that he's watching a romance movie on the TV. So that was the opening shot, which obviously mirrors the very, very last shot of the movie. So it took me a long time to give that up. I was like, no, like this is the you know, it's a bookend, you know, it's first shot of the movie, last shot of the movie. But ultimately, we've discovered that having him kind of giving that monologue at the beginning at the diner and kind of getting a little known.
God damn it, ad.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
About his character, it was better.
Bear says, "I would choose you over everything." And when the waitress kind of melts at that, Ian cuts it off and calls it cringe. It's the one kind of romantic thing that Bear said, and Ian wants to make him feel bad about it so that he doesn't actually use it on Nikki, whom Ian is secretly sleeping with. Ian is also the one to bring up the idea of being playfully mean, to flirt with Nikki, to call her Freaky Nikki, the teasing nickname that Nikki hates, because Ian actually knows it would sabotage Bear to ever say that. That's why he also pushes so hard for Bear to wait until the right time to tell his feelings to Nikki, knowing that the right time will probably never come. Bear comes home to find his poor cat Sandy has died from ingesting a bottle of Oxy that he wrote, "Do not."
But yeah, Ian's a bitch. He's a horrible friend, horrible person. Don't like him at all, and the one chance that he had to save Nikki, he didn't believe it and just wished for $1 billion. That's really crappy of you, Ian. Not a good thing.
Eat on the bottom of a bottle that was prescribed to his deceased grandmother Barbara, and a bottle that will come back at the end of the movie. In his bedroom, photo booth photos of this trivia team, the Bass Clef Bandits, since they all work at the music store, shows a blurry one with Bear looking like he's dragging Nikki in with him, and then another one of Bear smiling while Nikki just kind of frowns and flips a finger, and then another one with Bear frowning as Nikki is dragged in Ian and she's smiling again. Bear totally fails to see.
Oh my god, I never noticed that. Genuinely makes me feel bad. I've never why does that make me feel bad?
While Nikki just kind of frowns and flips a finger, and then another one with Bear frowning as Nikki is dragged in Ian and she's smiling again. Bear totally fails to see that Nikki does not see him the way he sees her, and she really just wants to have fun with her friends and with Ian. Bear ogles Nikki's Instagram where she self-deprecates that her selfie looks like it was shot on a flip phone, and of course, he liked the post, but it's also liked by Cooper Tomlinson, the actor who plays Ian. Nikki's full name is Nikki Freeman, an ironic nod to the fact that she spends most of this movie not at all free, but rather trapped in a kind of purgatory state. To replace the crystal necklace that Nikki dropped down the drain, Bear goes to an occult shop where he finds the One Wish Willow. Curry Barker said that he was inspired by the Simpsons Season 3 Treehouse of Horror episode, remember, with the monkey's paw, based on the W.W. Jacobs short story about a severed monkey's paw that grants wishes with unintended consequences. Barker said that the One Wish Willow was inspired by a prank pen that he used to.
I remember reading that in 8th grade, The Monkey's Paw. I never really understood it until I watched this movie, and I'm like, oh, that's not a good thing.
Play with as a kid, and production designer Vivian Gray and prop master Luke Cull tracked down one of those pens and incorporated a piece of its snapping mechanism into the willow twig. For the twig, Cull used dried cactus skeletons. But the wood of a willow tree is said to be associated with enchantment or just the occult, but really its meaning changes culture to culture. But the snapping of a twig is also a gesture associated with witchcraft, as we saw in the 2025 film Weapons. Now, the trivia night is.
Weapons was also really good, I have to be honest. Weapons was a really good film. Whoa, 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 whoa. Kiss me. I'll do 40,000. There you go. Okay, back in whip.
Hosted at Barker's Pub, a nod to writer-director Curry Barker, and the voice of the trivia host is Curry's father, Jeff Barker, a successful playwright who helped him write this movie. At the bar, as Nikki teases Bear about his pina colada order and she pays for all the drinks, it's much easier for us to see this on rewatch that it's really not at all flirting by Nikki. It's the kind of teasing a sister would do to a brother. But also notice that she calls everyone, including the bartender, babe. So you can really see...
Yeah, I didn't know if I heard that wrong, because I was like, shit? You don't say.
how Bear might have just completely misread that in the past as an affectionate term that was just exclusively for him. Ian interrupts Bear as he tries to tell Nikki his feelings. Yeah, Ian is really the world's worst wingman because, yeah, he has something to lose here. When Bear says that they should drink to Sandy, only Sarah senses Bear's sadness and comforts him about his dead cat. In fact, I wonder if it might have actually been Sarah who was the only one of these friends to comfort Bear about his dead grandmother, not Nikki, but Bear's fixation and obsession on Nikki caused him to reassign that memory to Nikki. Even in the parking lot outside, you can see everyone's true affections when you rewatch it. Nikki does flirtily tease Ian here, but then she stares a little too long at Bear when he just laughs too hard at her flirt, and it puts Bear in this headspace of, wait, how does she feel about me? That kind of uncertainty is something that Curry Barker tried to place this whole movie in, because that kind of uncertainty of how other people see you is what puts you in that state of anxiety. Meanwhile, Bear doesn't even notice when Sarah's freaking begging him to come along with them. And when
Sarah's not bad. Megan Lawless, she's not Indy's level, but she has her own level, and if I was Ian, I would take that up. Not Ian. If I was Bear, I would take that up pretty quickly. But I mean, it's up to him.
When Sarah hugs him goodnight, notice her hand lingers on his arm and she gives him a little pick-me smile. But the cinematography is so obsessed with Nikki that it's hard for us to even notice at first.
Get exclusive Mortal Kombat 2 wallpapers for your PC.
Ian says, get your girl home safe, and Nikki says, ew, don't say it like that. Like Ian would be talking about her brother. And in fact, later in the car, she'll say ew again later. But Bear doesn't pick up on any of those signals. Nikki tells...
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's really hard to tell if she's just doing a playful ew or if she's actually disgusted. No, I don't know.
Bear that she's quitting the job because she needs a life change to bring love into her writing, and Bear assumes her story that she's writing is a romance, and she responds, it's not a romance, it's a love story. Bear assumes that those are the same thing, but this false assumption is really the theme of the whole film. What we consider love is not always a positive romantic force. Love also has a dark, toxic flip side that's really obsession that is ultimately destructive.
It's so creepy in the bedroom scene. Where does that, like, you can tell they kind of filmed it during the day a little bit because it's still bright out, but it's absolutely horrifying. You see her in the corner of the room, her face has the Uncanny Valley vibe.
Bear just keeps fumbling, and he tries to say goodnight to Nikki by saying, night, freaky Nikki.
Yeah, he loses every ounce of aura that he once had, any ounce of, like, chance that he had, just, look, it's gone. It's all gone.
Yeah, trying Ian's move, and it immediately backfires as Nikki is truly offended. He can't bring himself to tell her his real feelings, even when she gives an opportunity to do so. And with his plans completely foiled, he pulls out the One-Wish Willow, which emits a little chime, and he says, I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than anyone in the fucking world, and snaps the willow branch. Now,
I used to think it was a pretty sure like the trailer, whatever it was in the entire world, but
The exact wording really mattered here. More than anyone in the fucking world, applied a level of intensity to this love that makes it way more than what it might have been, just sweet affection that never ever ended. Now when Bear looks over at Nikki, even though we had heard the door close, we didn't hear it open again, and she's just suddenly on the porch, silhouetted dark in the light. She's basically a menacing spectral presence that he jumps at, kind of like the way shadowy demons often appear in horror films. Though Curry Barker and
what is that? I want to know what that is. Cause that's like horrifying. Just like looking in like your dining room or something. They got like some very skinny floating creature entity with the hair going up. What is that? I'm just set up right now. I really wonder what that is.
jumps that, kind of like the way shadowy demons often appear in horror films. Oh, Curry Barker and
What is that? I want to know what that is. Cause that's like horrifying. Just like looking in like your dining room or something. They got like some very skinny floating creature entity with the hair going up. What is that? I'm just set up right now. I really wonder what that is.
jumps that, kind of like the way shadowy demons often appear in horror films. Oh, Curry Barker and
What is that? I want to know what that is. That's like horrifying. Just like looking in like your dining room or something. They got this very skinny floating creature entity with the hair going up. What is that? I guess I'm never gonna find out. Okay.
actress Indy Navarrete went to great lengths
It did never ready. You're not a true fan. Okay.
to make Nikki not come off as demonically possessed, as this is not a possession story, but rather she comes off as more of a whiny, possessive, jealous girlfriend. And right away, Nikki seems off. There is no glimpse of any of her former self here. She seems over obsessed with Bear's cat, and she thinks it was her cat for a second, and then she just starts glitching, saying, "I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah." Yeah, Navarrete is just
That's creepy. Like you're like. I get it.
so
You're sorry.
nuanced and controlled here. It is terrifying.
Another.
Grab your Wahoo Wieners for America's 250th birthday. Perfect for cookouts, camping, and the 4th of July. 40% off all 13 original recipe flavors of Wahoo Wieners. Visit any Wahoo meat location or visit WahooLocker.com and savor the flavor.
Wahoo wieners, USA. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Okay now, belts put down, turn it around, not sure how. Oh.
Now I'm going to refer to
What was that?
this new presence as Wish corrupted Nikki. It's not a demon, it's a new presence created by the Wish that has taken over Nikki's full body.
Which is a demon. Well, it's like a demonic thing. It's not an actual demon, but it has the exact same principles as a demon. I'm just gonna call it a fucking demon, okay?
In mind, singularly focused on an obsession on Bear, forcing real Nikki into the back seat in a kind of purgatory state where she can see, feel, and experience everything that's happening to her, but do nothing to stop it. But real Nikki briefly surfaces again here, saying, "What the fuck?" But then Wish corrupted Nikki regains control and then starts pouting teasingly as she lies about her dad dying to manipulate Bear into spending the night with her. Wish corrupted Nikki gets Bear to sleep in bed with her, and as she makes out with
Shit.
them, real Nikki resurfaces again. But Wish-controlled Nikki regains control and apologizes and calls a reaction a panic attack and then just starts sobbing. As she sleeps, Bear researches the One Wish Willow, where the search results say it's a vintage toy from the 80s whose effects are debated as the Mandela effect. On a Reddit alternative called Threadit, the comments all alternate yes and no on whether it actually works. Actually, there's a comment by Berenstain Bear Facts referring to that Mandela effect conspiracy theory, claiming that this poster's mom was ugly her entire life, but is gorgeous now and doesn't even look old. After he goes back into the bedroom, Wish corrupted Nikki is once again silhouetted in shadow by backlight staring right at him. The next morning, he finds that she's made breakfast for him, and as he walks into the kitchen and looks at the floor, there's a very quick, creepy shot where Nikki quickly darts across the doorway behind him, but then the camera tilts down to see Nikki had taken Sandy the cat's corpse out as a kind of memorial. Yes, because obsession is not real love, obsession has no empathy. Obsession is what drives the characters in Stephen King's Pet Sematary to grotesquely unearth dead things that should have stayed buried, just like this. As
Ew. do.
Bear tells Ian at work what happened. Literally them.
Yo, bro, you're not gonna believe this shit. You know, Nikki? Oh, wow. Oh, it's wild.
Moment wish-corrupted Nikki gets to the register. Out of focus in the background, she slowly turns to stare at the back of Bear's head, and every time we cut back to Bear for the next 3 minutes, we still see the blurry shape of her face just staring frozen. She doesn't move the entire time. Later, when looking at the side effects of MDMA, we see that Bear's recent searches include yesterday, classic romance movies, how to play Green Day's Basket Case on Marimba, last 7 days, how to woo a girl, how to impress a girl, how to flirt, how to know you've been friend-zoned. Back in July, oxycodone, and in June, nursing homes, old people homes. Yeah, it's a reverse history of Bear finding a home for his grandmother and then researching the effects of oxy, and then at that point becoming infatuated with Nikki at work. Yeah, his infatuation seems like a very recent thing, kind of a resurfaced 7 years too late promposal, as Ian described it. Now, in his profile shot,
Well, how old are they in the movie? I'm gonna search that up. Because I genuinely have zero idea how old they are. Because that is just...
Nikki is hidden in the background as we see her shadows shift into motion and the curtains to the front door. She's now wearing a flirty red dress, and in the close-up on the front doorstep, there's an odd light reflected in her eyes. At this point, she manipulates Bear's anxieties over possibly taking advantage of a woman who is under the influence of drugs. But all it really takes is wish-corrupted Nikki saying she might like him, saying, "Would it freak you out if I did?"
Shit.
Yeah, suddenly embracing the freaky Nikki nomenclature, and then bam, they're off to the races. Curry Barker hilariously shoots this as kind of a rom-com date montage set to sweet music, but it's all very creepy knowing what Nikki's already done. They giggle over a meme that says, "I want to wear your skin as a sweater."
I did not catch that.
Ugh. And you'll notice here that wish-corrupted Nikki starts wearing a headband, just like that easily impressed waitress in the opening scene. There's a few shots of them watching a movie together, and wish-corrupted Nikki keeps staring at him, and Bear, as if he's had to do this a bunch of times, moves her chin back to face the TV. Like he's still found comfort in just living with this scary presence, even though he knows it's not natural. Your financial info is yours.
I don't care.
Dinner, when Bear asks about her dad, wish-corrupted Nikki picks up a knife. It's just a butter knife, but still a knife, and changes the subject. Bear jokes that he wants to become a food critic called 3-Bite Bailey, and of course, she's gonna remember this tidbit. Ian calls Bear to say Nikki lied about her dad's cancer, and Bear takes this call under this tree design in the wall that visually reminds us this is all the result of the willow branch that he broke. It's so creepy to see wish-corrupted Nikki in the background just stepping out to watch Bear, and then step behind the wall, freaking us out, thinking that she's gonna suddenly pop around the corner. But he goes back to the table and confronts Nikki about her dad.
Sucks. I mean, I'd hate if that were to happen to me.
Nice hot. Where'd you get it?
Depop.
Yes, that manic repeated no reminds me of Georgina's moment in Jordan Peele's Get Out when Chris confronts her.
No.
After sex, we get the creepiest scene of the movie. Bear looks for Nikki in his dark bedroom, and at first we don't see her, but kind of like the iconic shot in Ari Aster's Hereditary that allowed the viewer's eye to gradually adjust to the darkness, we now see wish-corrupted Nikki in plain sight, slinking out of the shadow in the corner at an unnatural speed and fluidity, and then after way too calmly talking to him, she retreats with the same odd fluidity back into the darkness of that corner, and it looks like Curry Barker actually used some reverse photography for many of the movements here. She says, "I don't like my dreams," and then her voice distorts and says, "I feel like you don't love me as much as I do, like it's not mutual," and her full face distorts as well so that she doesn't even look like herself, but it's kind of like a trick on our eyes because it's so dark we can't even make out her facial features, and her lips certainly do not match her words here. Now, of course, she doesn't like her dreams because in her dreams she has to share her subconscious with the real Nikki. The next morning, Bear notices Wish-corrupted Nikki had cut some of his hair and confronts her about it, but notice that she's reading a book upside down here. She clearly was just staring at it blankly, trying to look cute when Bear walked in. Nikki...
No, genuinely, that would be like so sad. I feel so bad for Nikki because imagine just, I know it's obvious, but knowing everything that she's probably going through right now, knowing that she probably doesn't like Bear at all, and then just having for Bear to be like, "Well, shucks, they're with me now," must be horrifying. And Barker, one of the two. Very good videographer. I loved his directing. It was
blames her behavior on just a bad
shots. Really made you overthink, like most horror movies do. It was
dream and smiles extra tight. Curry Barker said that he watched the movie Pearl with the cast, and this smile looks a lot like Mia Goth's iconic forced smile at the end of that film. Somehow this whole scene Bear missed the fact that Wish-corrupted Nikki duct taped the door shut. I love the gag of him just gradually prying the door open. In the lunch that she packed for Bear, she put 2 Polaroids, the second of which is a selfie of her smiling while he was sleeping, labeled "Not Me." Maybe there was a subconscious cry for help from the real Nikki. Bear...
Yeah. You don't say.
calls out Sarah for what Ian had said, saying that she and Nikki were talking shit about Bear being friend-zoned, a brother figure to Nikki, and Sarah says, "Look, if Ian is spreading my shit, then you should know," before her dad cuts her off with an art school rejection letter. Yeah, she was about to tell Bear that Ian had been hooking up with Nikki. Unfortunately, Sarah doesn't get to tell him that until the final scene of her life. Had Bear found that out sooner, he may not have gone through the next couple things he goes through. Now here, Sarah says, "Your lunch smells weird," and this is after he took a big bite of that sandwich where like a piece of the meat definitely dangled from his mouth. Ugh. And she reads the back of the note that says, "What's the verdict? Cat." As Bear realizes that Nikki had made him a literal sandy witch. Ian accuses Bear of taking advantage of Nikki.
That's horrible. Oh, ha 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 ha, sandy witch.
Nikki during her mental episode that he thinks she's going through, while interestingly, Sarah tells Bear that she thinks Nikki's taking advantage of him, depending on his puppy love instead of going to therapy. Just kind of an interesting dichotomy between the relationships there. Bear calls the Tabby Cat customer support line.
Welcome to the stream. How's it going? Hope your afternoon is going swell.
I just want to know if I can, like...
Right now, I'm just breaking down Obsession, talking about it, everything of that nature.
alter it a little.
I'm sorry, we don't really do that.
This is the voice of director Curry Barker himself. This whole idea of the company refusing to alter wishes or even cancel wishes kind of comes from Barker just refusing to develop any lore or backstory for the One Witch Willow for this movie. He considers that not his job as a director and wants to leave it open for interpretation, and I kind of love that. But the operator does
makes sense.
Say that only death can break the spell over Nikki, and that Bear has a moral obligation to be there for her. Then the operator allows Bear to hear the real Nikki, who just screams in agony. Yes, I love the horrifying implication that this company somehow has access to whatever mental suffering may result from its customers' wishes. At Ian's party, Wish-corrupted Nikki laughs way too hard at a simple joke. Yeah, another red flag that you brought the wrong person to a party. Drawing a Jenga brick that apparently required her to embarrass herself or say some secret, Wish-corrupted Nikki recites this passage from her story. And forgive me, but I'm now going to say the whole thing. The air was charged by the distant call of the night bird. His face was obscured, but I knew he was looking at my chest, each side stretching recently matured to different sizes.
I never realized how weird this thing actually was.
So come lay with me like the old woman taught us when we were children, I said. He closed the door and leaned against it. You're not my wife, Gretel, he said. I'm more than your wife, I'm your sister, Hansel.
That's so weird. Oh, welcome to the stream. Oh my god, this is
Flinched
so...
and reached for the door handle. I knew he would not leave this place. He would relent and choose to be inside me like he had many nights before. If
Like, I don't get why people kind of ignored that, of how creepy that actually is. And welcome to the stream, by the way.
not, I would fillet his meaty forearm, roll it like a stick of licorice, and insert the flesh between my legs. Hansel is my...
Oh. Oh.
soul. Love only the branch of a willow tree could conjure. Brother, you will be inside me tonight. Hey, this movie stole my wedding vows! So...
That was actually funny.
Okay, this disgusting, incestuous Hansel and Gretel monologue was written by Curry's playwright father, Jeff Barker, and it really does speak to the way real Nikki said that she saw Bear as a brother, mixed with the way Witchcraft Nikki desires him sexually. Witchcraft Nikki is really trying to do some of the creative writing that real Nikki was struggling with due to writer's block, and it all comes out in this grotesque way that she thinks will turn Bear on. Bear draws a block to kiss the person on his left, meaning Sarah.
What do you do? You're like this. Nice poem. I can't do anything about it, but nice poem.
And Witchcraft Nikki hits us with this iconic pouty frown and drags Sarah out of the way and then puckers for a smooch. Real Nikki surfaces here and smashes a bottle to stab herself in the face twice before Witchcraft Nikki regains control. I love Bear's reaction in this moment. He's horrified at first, but then he just kind of resigns and shuts down as he fully knows what he is committed to. Curry Barker revealed something interesting about this house. They shot this movie in fall of 2024 in the Burbank area, and then in January of 2025, the house where they shot this scene burned down in the LA fires, making this movie kind of part of the cursed history when it comes to iconic horror films and real-life fires that can...
Well, shit. Well, anyway, I'm gonna finish it actually.
In the sets. During the filming of The Exorcist, a bird flew into a circuit box and burned down the McNeil family home set, but Reagan's bedroom was untouched by the flames. Ooh. Back home, Bear asks Witchcraft and Nikki, does Nikki like me? Is Nikki happy? Yeah, he's trying to break through, and he knows for sure it's not really her when she embraces the nickname,
I'm your freaky Nikki.
Now there is a moment when Bear is almost swayed by Witchcraft and Nikki saying, I love you in every reality, but then she freaks him out again by reversing back into the shadows of the doorway. Yes, more reverse photography used there, and threatens to harm herself if he leaves, so he stays that night, but then after slipping out of bed to meet Sarah, the real Nikki calls to him while Witchcraft and Nikki sleeps, begging Bear to kill her. But Bear responds, what would be so bad about being with me? Yeah, at this point we know Bear deserves everything bad that's coming his way. But there is a sweet moment of false victory with Bear and Sarah that just gets ruined when Witchcraft and Nikki smashes through the glass and smashes Sarah's face against a brick. God, this was awful. It's hard to tell from the shock of this moment, but on each of the hits, if you listen closely, the brick presses against the steering wheel in a slight way that emits a little honk from the car. Oh, God.
Yeah, I caught that.
God. Witchcraft and Nikki tells a shocked Bear, Sarah, it's all your fault. You wanted this. You wished for this. So at this point, we know Witchcraft and Nikki is aware of her very existence coming solely from Bear's wish, and she knows how these one-wish willows really work. They dispose the body at the music shop. Since Bear cannot break another willow twig, he brings a new one to Ian, but asshole Ian wishes for $1 billion and money just rains from above. For a second, I thought we were gonna see Ian get crushed, because even in $100 bill denominations, $1 billion weighs 10 metric tons and takes up the space of 10 industrial pallets. Yeah, it would easily fill Ian's living room. I guess there was an interview where Curry Barker said that even after Ian died, that money did not vanish, it still stayed in the house. So I guess the death rule only really breaks the spell in cases of romantic obsession. Bear comes home to find another shrine to him made by Witchcraft and Nikki that includes, it looks like some pump lotion, maybe the kind Bear would have used to, you know?
Don't.
Nikki has further desecrated Sarah's corpse, and we see that Nikki is now wearing Sarah's dress and that she has drawn Sarah's tattoos on her body, and since her hair has changed, she might be wearing Sarah's scalp here? Yeah, she's trying to make herself Sarah because Witchcraft and Nikki is insane and she thinks that's what Bear wants. Ian barges in and Witchcraft and Nikki shoots him. This would be from the loaded gun that Sarah's dad kept in the music store safe that they talked about earlier in the movie. Witchcraft and Nikki got it when she stayed behind to deal with Sarah's body. Witchcraft and Nikki vomits on Bear, and finally he just screams,
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
He He calms her down and he ends up locking himself in the bathroom. Through the door, a completely deranged witch-corrupted Nikki says calmly, I think we should break up. Yeah, one last emotional manipulation. Bear cannot bring himself to pull the trigger, but he remembers his grandmother's oxy in the medicine cabinet that had killed the cat. So he ingests the pills, and before he instinctively moves to purge, we hear a chime of a one-wish willow in the other room and a snap, and we now have a witch-corrupted bear, willed into existence by witch-corrupted Nikki to love her back. But the oxy kicks in as the camera moves down past the snap twig. Witch-corrupted Nikki sobs and grabs the gun, and just before she Juliets herself, Bear's death brings real Nikki back to the surface. Poor real Nikki completely loses it to realize her 3 best friends are all dead in the house with her. Or rather, her 2 best friends and the one guy who ruined her life. Curry Barker planned for an alternate ending where Nikki would have died as well, but they went with this option of Nikki screaming in shock. It's arguably even darker because she was the one to steal the gun from that music store that probably had security cameras, so any police investigating this are gonna pin all 3 deaths on her. Yes, a woman who committed the only crime of flashing a fleeting smile at a friend.
Damn.
Bravo to fellow YouTuber Curry Barker for shooting this movie for less than $1 million, getting it picked up by Focus Features and Blumhouse for $15 million, and then being the first movie since E.T. Yes, Steven Spielberg's E.T. in 1982 to open wide and increase its box office weekend over weekend, when normally it's the opposite. Big opening and dropping off weekend over weekend. It's so successful that it convinced Universal to drop a planned June 2nd streaming date and extend its theatrical window. It's tracking to make nearly $300 million worldwide, if not more than that. It's beating The Mandalorian and Grogu. That is insane success, and it speaks to the power of a simple story executed perfectly with great writing and performances that are really connecting with viewers. Comment down below with your thoughts on this movie, and a special thanks to one of our NR Underground subscribers, Paolo Bianca, for supporting us at the executive producer level.
A good video. I love Obsession. She's so hot. I'm gonna keep that up.
You can get all.
I'm gonna go to Hollywood someday. I'm gonna be an actor in indie. Give me a high five when I'm there, okay? Alright, that's gonna be the end of the stream. Thank you. Got a little bit of flow for people watching. It's alright. Just peaked at 4 viewers.